Because entrepreneurship is not for everybody.
No.
It's not for everybody because and that isn't a criticism on people that take the 9-to-5 job, because actually you think as a 9-to-5er and you're getting a monthly salary, is that you think, oh, well, you know, you're working for the man, but actually when you are an entrepreneur and you are the CEO, you are working for a lot more people. Yeah. You are maintaining your business. Yeah. You are working for your clients, and it's a completely different ball game. So how did you, right at the very beginning, manage, or did you manage were you still drumming? How did you manage to pivot out? Yeah. At what point did you think, well, I can no longer drum? Yeah. And but I've got, what's the risk of giving that up? And am I going to earn money from this?
Yeah, it's a shift from one career to the other, and two very different careers and workspaces. You're absolutely right. Yeah, there was a period when I was sort of running both halves of my life. I was, at the time, that year, I was working at the Royal Opera House. So I was playing in the orchestra at the Royal Opera House, ballet, opera.
Fabulous.
Tail suit.
Nice.
Miles away from
were you the man at the back
shorts
going,
and a
bong,
t-shirt.
bong, bong, bong? Oh, sorry. Were you that person?
I never bong-bonged.
Sorry.
I was playing music.
Sorry.
Puccini.
Of course, not bonging.
No, never a bong.
But you were the man at the back.
Yes. Yes, fabulous. But with a bigger sound.
Yeah,
you know?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So you were at the Royal Opera House.
Yes.
Doing that and building a company.
Yeah, tail suit at night, shorts and a t-shirt during the day.
Yeah.
And, you know, finding my way, of course. Yeah. Learning about risk, But listen, there's nothing more risky than being the cymbal player in a Mahler symphony.
No, because if you get that wrong...
If you're a beat early, everyone knows about it.
If you're a beat late, they know about it.
Well, yes. Yeah. You know, you can't not do it. Yeah. When the moment comes, you have to stand up and play the cymbals, and, you know, the audience know it and feel it and hear it and react to it. So, you know, I think musicians arguably are the biggest risk takers. Always on a daily, nightly, performance by performance basis, huge risk. You think of what Mick Jagger does at the front of the stage. Yeah. You know, at any given moment, it can just fall flat. So, in so many ways, musicians are incredible entrepreneurs in terms of being risk takers, in terms of being resilient.
Yeah.
So it's one of those scenarios where I think, I didn't know it at the time, but through being a musician, I had instinctively learnt many of those skills. And they'd never been taught as a business context. Yeah. But so much of what I've learned and discovered and been through as a businessman since, I've held together because of the years I had as a professional
So when
musician.
When did you make the move from musician, that's the end of my career as a musician, into I am now only the CEO and visionary of Treehouse Life?
Yeah, I loved every single minute of being a musician. So none of that decision was to step away from that profession, but I just became super excited about what the Treehouse business could become. Right. It wasn't successful at that time, so it wasn't that, you know, it was earning me, you know, too much money that I could resist it. It was super challenging and super formative. There was lots of work that I needed to do, but I was excited by that. And it became a sort of natural choice. One never knows, you know, was it a sensible choice? I don't.
Well, looking back,
but it's just a choice. I was 40 at the time, thereabouts. I'd had 20 odd years as a musician successfully, And there was this whole new world that I was beginning to create, and I could see the journey, and my vision and my passion was 10 years in the future. It wasn't next week.
Yeah.
And so that gave me a sense of scope, a sense of journey, a sense of purpose.
But didn't give you any more certainty, did it?
No.
Than your,
No.
weekly, I'm going to be at the Royal Opera House, or maybe I'm not, type thing.
Yeah.
Didn't give you any more certainty. So there's a certain amount of risk
Huge
involved. So how did you manage that risk?
Just pushing through it. That has to be the story of every entrepreneur. There's always a point where you push through, you push through, and you push through barriers, you push through doors. You know, it's hard, it's tough.
Did you make any financial mistakes?
Yeah, lots, and still do.
You would.
Yeah.
I still do.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's encouraging or not.
learn. You know.
So how did you? What did you learn from making financial mistakes at the beginning?
Learn how to deal with it.
Do you mean emotionally or financially or with the bank?
I think all of that. I think probably a skill set that entrepreneurs have is an ability to see through problems, problem solving.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship is a whole big dose of daily problem solving, and it still is to this day.
And can be quite a lonely process, can't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, listen, we're putting people off being entrepreneurs.
Not at
we're
all,
making
not
it
at
sound like a sort of dark space.
I don't think you have. I think you've gone. I think you said, actually, this is my passion, and you're really enjoying it.
Yeah.
And there was a moment when you left. You knew it was right, even though the risks were there. I think it would be silly of us to say, do you know, actually, it's lovely. Leave your job and do your niche, because actually there is a whole learning process in it. And I think it's important that when you go into that, you understand there are so many benefits to it as well, because as you and I both know, there are times when you can take time off, you can pitch up to work at 11 o'clock if that's what you want to do, because you've got to go, as a father, you've got to go and see your kids' nativity play. So there's loads of things you can do as an entrepreneur. It's not like, but it's the whole, it's not necessarily going to be easy at the beginning. And if you manage those steps well, then, you know, success is yours. I mean, because how much are you enjoying your life now?
I love it. I love it. I love every day. I mean, listen, I get to wake up every morning with a passion.
And play. You get to wake up and play.
Yeah. And I get to see wow factor. I get to see happiness. I get to see the child who sees Mickey Mouse for the first time.
You absolutely do.
And listen, I've been to Missouri. I've sat under the same tree that Walt Disney sat under as a child. He used to go to a particular tree that's still there.
Wow.
And dream. He used to call it his dreaming tree. And I often think about that. Walt Disney as a child knew he had his vision, he had his passion. And he was never particularly rich, and he's become famous.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was hugely challenging. Can you imagine that journey? In a similar way that Steve Jobs had the same challenge. But what's in common is that they get to wake up each morning with that passion.
Yeah.
And work hard through every day to achieve that passion. I wake up every morning passionate about niche. I love niche. I love the scarcity of what we do. I love that we're not a factory-built product.
Yeah.
That may be something that Treehouse Life does at some point in the future. Somebody might take our design signature and be able to but it won't be me that's running the factory. It's me that holds every day the relationship that we have with our clients, and that's the joy. I knew that was my vision. I'm doing now what I envisioned, and I think that's a key ingredient, to know and understand what your vision is. It's not just a crazy dream. I think a vision is something very real. It's not just a fanciful dream.
No.
I think everybody has fanciful dreams. I think entrepreneurs have a vision, and a vision has structure and purpose. And I think that's probably the key to it, is that an entrepreneur gets to understand what their vision is and can see and understand who they need to bring into their team, how they need to go about making that vision come alive every day, not just at the end of 10 years or at the end of 25 years, but every day I make my vision come alive. And that's the joy. That's the delivery of the passion and the hope and the wish. I think you can see that and hear that
Definitely
in how I go about creating and recreating the business that I founded and the business that I own and the business that I wish to hand to my two boys.
I think we're going to leave it there. I think that's amazing. Thank you so much for listening. And please don't forget to like and follow us on Apple, Spotify and YouTube. And we'll be back next time.